Okay, here we are inside of Adobe Premiere Pro, and what I'm going to do today is show you titles, how to create titles, how to use those titles for your media, and how to animate them, and how to remove chat channels and all that good stuff. But first things first, we need to go to Title, New Title, Default Still, give it a name or just click OK, and that brings up our title creation window here. And it gives us a tool straight away which allows us to just click anywhere we want and start typing. So let's say Eve Online, and then if we take the selection tool here, we can then move this around anywhere on the screen that we want to. Should we want to bring it into the middle, then just click horizontal center and vertical center, and that is now perfectly in the middle. You see we've got these corners here that we can drag. And what this enables us to do is to effectively resize the text any way we want. So we can, rotate it like this, and we can just grab the corners of it, and do pretty much anything that you want to with the text. Not a problem. But like I say, up to you how you incorporate that in. But let's say we were to take this and drop that down onto the timeline. So let's drag that down to. I'm just going to zoom in here. Let's get a bit of Fraps footage on there. Okay, there we go. And as you can see, I've put the text above the Fraps footage. Now, if I was to do that the other way around, like so, you see that we can't see that text. So text has to be above the Fraps footage to be able to see it in here. And because this is now media in our project media window here, and on the timeline, we can actually edit this this text straight into the timeline, and I'll show you how to do that. We go to Effects Controls with the title 01 selected there. We've got options here for motion and opacity, which is effectively just seeing it or not seeing it. And we can alter any of these values here, and then we can actually keyframe them as well, which is pretty cool. And let's give you an example of this. Just bring all of this over here. So if you can imagine, this is the length of life of the actual title itself. What we can do is say at the beginning here, we can change the position by punching in a keyframe. Then I can move forward and alter, say, the vertical and the horizontal at the same time. So that will now move from the middle off down there to the bottom right. I'll just delete that keyframe. And have a look at another one here. Let's have a look at scale. Punch in a keyframe here, set the scale to say 600, and I can move forward and set the scale down to 100. That adds another keyframe here. You can see starts off very big and goes back to normal size there. And we can do many things here with keyframes. Let's say we go to 100 halfway. That adds a keyframe there. I can now go to the end and drop that down to 0. So it comes in, play that through. So the text comes in and then slowly goes out at the end. Or I can add another keyframe here. So by clicking on this Add Remove Keyframe, I'm going to make that 100 as well. So that it stays at 100 between these 2 points here. So effectively holds on the screen. It comes in, holds, and then fades out to the end. So you've got a lot of options here for using these keyframes, and we can make these easy ease keyframes or ease in keyframes like so that they smoothly and progressively slow down. So if you watch this now, it slows down to a stop and then accelerates away. Nice stuff. Anyway, so let me just delete that keyframe there. Yes. And drop that down to 100. And what else can we do with this text? Well, I'm going to come back and have a look at this text again in a little while, but one thing that we could do is we could use any of the effects down here. So for example, do a dissolve on it, so cross dissolve. Just drag that down to the end. Because this is media, it will allow us to do it. Let me just twirl down on that so we can see that a little bit better. Zoom in there. So we can cross dissolve on this. So you see it's there, static, then it dissolves out, fades away. That's a nice move. or we can have, if you want to go crazy, have an iris cross on there as well, so that as it comes to the end there, moves out like that. And cross stretch, I mean, whatever you want really. So it kind of goes off of that kind of stretching way over there to the side. That's a nice touch. But up to you how you want to use this text. But any one of the video effects that are down here in the video transitions, if you look at this 3D motion, it's a cube spin. It's an interesting one. Just zoom that out there. Let's have a look at that. See, it kind of bends off there. I like that. That's a nice touch. Anyway, the good thing is that should you need to change any of this, because we've got media here, which is title 01, we can just double click on this and it brings us back to this screen here, and we can add more elements to it, or we can just change the elements that are already there. So maybe you want to add an underline to that, not a problem. Maybe you want to distort that in some way with the X and the Y value, do something interesting with it, distort the Y as well. So you can pretty much have unlimited control over the text and how the text is going to appear on the screen, and how the text is going to look, how it's going to move. And don't forget, of course, you have roll and crawl options. So if I click on that there, I'm going to make this text roll, start off the screen, end off the screen, click OK, and just like when you see credits at the end of a film, credits will scroll up the screen like so. Easily done. All of the keyframing is done for you. And the good thing about doing the roll and the crawl options is, let's give you an example here on the effects controls. If I was to, let's say, punch in a keyframe there, move forward, and change this position or change the scale in some way, if I was to then extend the length of the sequence, it then automatically, without the needing to alter keyframes in here, will then slow that piece down. Or I can contract it, and it will automatically speed that up. So that now rushes up the top of the screen. Let's see if it's very long. Hardly any rush at all. That you see, very slow. So entirely up to you how that works. And just come back to the title creation scene a second. There's another tool here which is, let me just delete this, which is the area type tool. This is a very nice tool because if you can imagine using this type tool here, if I was to just start typing away, it goes off the end of the screen there, and we can't see it anymore. So how do we stop that from happening? Well, easiest thing to do is just use the area type tool. So click there and select an area on the screen which I want to, area type tool, click an area on the screen that I want to use as text, say that piece there, and selection tool, let's bring that right into the center so I know that's in the middle. And coming back in here now, start typing. So EVE Online is a really great game and I love to play it, etc, etc. And we can change the size of the font on there as well, and it will stay bound inside of this box that we've drawn here, which is a nice way of just keeping things neat on the screen, and good for credits and so forth. So good options there to play with and have a look at. Now I know I said this on the other tutorial, but you have the fill, which is not absolute white. The color that it defaults to is just some kind of grey color. It's not this. It's not 255 on the RGB, it's 229 or something like that. And of course, should we want to alter any of the fonts, and we just change the font from there, and it will bring it all back. But there you go. Now let's show you something else. Now let me just get rid of this piece of footage here, and I'm going to go into my Fraps and find something that has a chat channel on it. Let's have a look here. I think yes, here we go. I'm going to drop that down. Now, hiding up the chat channel, very easily done. What you want to do is go to Title, New Title, Default Still, give it a name, or just click OK. And I'm going to take Show Video as an option. Click that, and you can see that now we can see the screen or see the video that's going to be shown. We can get a good idea as to how big the rectangle we're going to make is, and you want to click on this rectangle tool here, like so, and I can just drag and then let go, and that is now bound around the chat channel, so that's going to cover that up. And of course we can change the color on this as well, so we can make that black or red, or like a dark red color if we want to, and we can give it a stroke, so let's create an outer stroke on that, and there we go, already done for us. Maybe change the size of the stroke down to 5 just by clicking on there, and there we go, chat channel covered up. And what we can also do, we can add text onto here, very easy to do. Just grab your type tool, click in there, and start typing away. So just say Rifter, and pick a new color, so make that black text, and with the selection tool just move that along there, easily done. And let's make that nice and aligned. So we've got an align tool here, vertical center and horizontal center, so that's perfectly in the middle there, no problem at all. And another thing I wanted to show you, now I've never seen this before, and if anybody else has done it, then I will stand to be corrected and happily bow my head in shame for misleading you, but I've never seen anybody cover up the modules that you see in an EVE Online film with circles. So you still get to see the space around the modules, you just don't actually get to see the modules themselves. So the way to do that is just to grab the ellipse tool like so, and if you hold down shift you will then get a perfect circle. If I didn't hold down shift, then we're trying to guess how big the circle is and whether that's a perfect circle, but if you hold down shift it will give you a perfect circle. And just gonna make that big for now. Grab my selection tool. Now let's make the outer stroke kind of a green, bright green color, and let's make the inside fill color to be white, like so. Now I'm going to grab my type tool and I'm going to type in here win. You might guess what I'm going to do now. And fill color, let's make that black, and turn the stroke off like so. Now with the selection tool I'm going to highlight both of these, and I'm going to align them so that the win is in the middle of the circle, and if I hold down shift, grab the corner, I can then scale that down, and that will scale proportionately, maybe just a little bit more than that. Now let's drag this over this module down here. That should fill that nicely. I'm trying to move very small amounts here. Let's have a look at that. Let's see how that works. Drag that down to the timeline. Move this over here. Let's put that to 100% so we can have a look. It's a little bit off, so we can fix that just by clicking. So selection tool. And let's move that down just a little bit. There we go. There we go. So we've now got a win button, an I win button, win button. I just think that's cool, and it's another option for if you've got modules there just to have lots of buttons that say something on them or say win on them, instead of just having some ugly kind of block over that. So you still get to see what you would have seen. All you're doing is just covering up the modules instead of the area around the modules. And instead of having to do that all over again for all the other modules, what you can do is go to your selection tool, highlight both of these elements. Remember, that's a circle and it's text, so you need to highlight them both, and do Control C and then Control V, and it will do a cut and paste, and then do that again. So Control C, Control V, and if you drag over there, just make sure you've got the arrow selected when you're doing this. So you don't want it like that or like that, you want it like that. Drag that, and then you can just line it up with all the other modules. And you may think it's a little bit fiddly, but as long as you get it generally over the area, what you can do is highlight all of these and then go to your vertical and horizontal align, and it will bring them all in check, like so. Okay, So there we are. We have lots of I win buttons down there, and I just think that's funny. If you got time, then make one that says lose somewhere on there. So when you lose your ship, I think that'd be funny. But if somebody's already done this, then I apologise to whoever that somebody is. But I've never seen anybody do that, and I just thought that was just a fun thing to see in an EVE Online video. Anyway, there you go. Let's move on to something else. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is show you how to create some sort of metallic text. Very easy to do. First thing is go to Title, New Title, Default Still, and give it a name, or just click OK. And all I'm going to do is just click in here and type in EVE Online, and I'm going to change the font to Arial Black. There we go. And increase that font size just a little bit, move this over and get it centered like so, and change the fill to white, close that down and drag that down to the timeline, and just zoom in here a little bit. Okay, now then I want to go over to Effects and type in Ramp. Drop the ramp on there. Also going to want to have bevel, or bevel alpha. Drop that down as well. And yeah, let's just play with this for now. So go to Effects Controls and shut off the ramp for a second. And see if we can zoom in here. Now, bevel alpha, a very neat tool. What we can do is effectively have a light that's being shined on it to chisel away at these edges and bevel them, if you like. So first thing is just to increase this this parameter here, which is the light intensity. Bring that up to 1, and you can see we got the angle of the light. And I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more just so you can see this. So if I move that light angle round, you can see that there's light coming here, and it's dark here, but it's light here. So it gives us that sort of chiseled look, which is really nice. Let's bring that back down to fit for a second. And now I'm going to go back to ramp and select ramp. And you see we got these crosshairs here at the top and the bottom. I'm going to change the start color to white, and the end color, so the end of the ramp, is going to be black. And I'm going to click on Shift and then drag down to pretty much the top of the text, and do the same for the end of the ramp as well. Bring that up, and if you hold Shift, it should go straight, but for some reason whenever I do it, it doesn't seem to want to go straight. But there you go. Let's just make sure those are both 640, like so. And maybe bring this one up a little bit as well, actually. Let's bring that one up to about there, and then just make that 640, like so. So get a nice sort of feeling of shadow on there, and let's zoom that up to 100%. You can see we've got a nice sort of metallic feel to that. Now what we can do here, we've got a thing called ramp scatter. If we increase this just a little bit, I mean, if I did that all the way, you can see we've got this sort of scattering effect here, but we don't want to go all the way. We just want to bring that up just a little bit, maybe to 5, and it gives us a sort of a rough edge, if you like, to the actual text that's there. So we've got this bevel alpha on there, which is very nice, and we've also added the ramp on there as well to give us that gradient, which makes the text look really good. Now let's add some fraps into this. So just want to move this up to track number 2, get some fraps. Any piece of fraps will do. He says looking for a piece of fraps, and drop that down. Let's make that fit. You can see that looks really nice now. So that spins through nicely, metallic text. And let's add a little bit of motion on this. So let's go back to the beginning of the text, select the title 01, which is here, and go to motion, and let's scale this up to, I'm going to bring this over, scale this up to 600, So it's pretty far back. Punch in a keyframe, move forward a little bit, say to the end, now I say to about sort of halfway, punch another keyframe and do 100, make that an ease in keyframe, like that, so that slowly will now go into the screen. And let's simulate a sort of depth of field effect, so for it to be there it's in sort of perfect focus, but if it's back here, let's make that out of focus. So let's go effects and type in blur, and we've got fast blur here, and just drop that onto there, and let's keyframe this as well. So at the beginning let's make this blurry, so say 10, punch in a keyframe, move forward, line up the keyframe here like so, and drop that down to 0. So now if we pull back, that's out of focus, and as it pulls into the screen it becomes in focus, so we get a nice sort of effect there that makes it look really good. Let's just see that happen at sort of full resolution. So there you are. Very simple way of getting metallic text just by using the ramp, using the bevel of the alpha as well. And there's other effects that we can add to this. That's just a very quick way of making it look the way it does. Another thing we might want to do is add drop shadow, and drop that onto there. Just to give it a little bit of definition, let me just zoom in here, 100%. As you can see, we've got this sort of edge to it there, and we might even want to animate that drop shadow, so when it's all the way back here, the drop shadow is say it's 50. As we come forward, let's punch a keyframe there actually for sort of 5, come back here and punch another keyframe and make it 50 from there, and increase the softness to say 5, so it's a very soft shadow that we get. And let's come back and put that on fit and see how that looks. So it comes in there and it's like giving a shadow on the background, so it gives us that extra effect of it being a title that's coming into the screen. That's just an option, you don't have to choose that, but it gives you a bit more definition around the text, just to make it sort of really pop onto the screen nicely. But there you go. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Sorry it took so long, but sorry my voice is a little bit hoarse today. I've been doing this tutorial, it's probably about the 50th time I've done this tutorial. I've started it and stopped it many times, just trying to think of interesting ways to use text and to use the title screen as well. But there you are. Play with all of the settings, all of the transitions, the video effects, and you'll be quite surprised, I think, with just how flexible, once you compound effects and do motion and scrolling and all that good stuff to add some quality to the EVE Online film that you're going to be making. But there you are. For now, I think you and I are good to go.